So, okay, good. I got that. So thank you for that reminder. So we're recording, okay? Now, I want to say good morning and a happy new year to every Word Center family, to our community. I want to say happy new year, old parents, and we haven't taken new people. When I mean old, some people didn't join in the last quarter, but for the fact that you're in the community, you're part of us. Because I say when you sign on to Word Center, you're signed on for life. And that is why we have parents from 15 years ago. They still come, support us in one way or the other. They get information, they get things they bring to us. So thank you and for being a part of this community. I believe that the reason God brought us together will be accomplished in our families and in the lives of our children. Before I start, I need to share what God dropped in my heart, though that's what we're going to be using for the Jokibe prayer meeting next week. But next week is prayer. But what I've realized over time is because we now do Jokibe prayer and it incorporates other people, the one-on-one touch we used to have with the Word Center parents is no longer the same, because all we do is pray, 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 and we all go, and then we don't have the time to talk. And I know that the farmer is the first beneficiary. So since we have your children directly in our community, and we're a community, God dropped it in my heart that we should start what we used to do before. And what we used to do was that we met with the parents every month. And that meeting every month, God gave us a new message. Remember, it's not just about prayer. But the problem with us as Africans is that we pray too much, but we don't sit down to be thought. Our teaching is not as we don't embrace teaching as much as we embrace prayer. But sometimes it is actually the teaching that actually opens your eye to prayers. And I remember part of the parents, the old parents we have that are still very much in tune, are the parents that used to come every other month. Every month, we had parents forum where we shared things we do with the children, just stirring everybody up, and there's always a fresh message. So God said we should go back to that, because sometimes we are overwhelmed with so many things, and when you're overwhelmed, you forget that you have a spiritual responsibility to your children. You're just doing, okay, go to Word Center, do homework, and all of that. But what God is saying that we should go back, because sometimes faith comes by hearing. Doing comes by hearing. So when you hear these messages every month, it's like a fresh word from an oven. I mean, the messages that God gave me just for this community already, I can't even finish sharing it this year, okay? If I start saying one every month, there's so much, just something to stir us up and to open our eyes. So part of what we're going to be doing as a community again, so that when your children are here, because I believe we're not called to everybody, but the ones that are called to, we can't be reaching out to so many, and then we've not done our in-house work, okay? So we're going to be meeting, but we're still thinking sometimes, maybe every quarter physically with the parents, but there's something that are with contact, okay, those in Lagos. But those that are not in Lagos will join online. But for those that are already with us, for everybody, we're going every month, we'll be meeting once a month online, and it's going to be 30 minutes, because we need to hear this thing, because there's a lot happening. There is a lot happening. Whether you want to wish it away, whether you want to pretend it's not going to get to you, or this, a lot is happening, okay? And then to the glory of God, because God is a God of every age and season, he keeps giving us new revelation, new creative ideas and new things. And that is why we will never run out of how to reach these children, because this is something God instituted himself. But it now depends on the leverage. Are we leveraging on this thing? Or are we already like, oh, we know what it is? And what I want to encourage us as I go in this morning is, if you bring your children to Word Center, and I'm saying this from a place of, from the depth of my heart, and a place of, let me tell you the way it is. Putting your children in Word Center it won't change your children, it won't do anything. I want to be honest with you. They come to Word Center every Saturday, they hear, it will not change anything. You have to be at least 70% involved. So when they hear, you ask yourself, you go to church every Sunday. How many of the things during the week you're overwhelmed with so many things? And pastor is not there to police you. Sometimes you're overwhelmed and you're shaking. It's as if you've never known God before. Sometimes you're tempted to do things you're not meant to do. You do it and then you remember, oh, I'm a child of God. That is you as an adult. Then imagine those children. So coming to Word Center, they sit down, they hear this thing, they do reading plan. You have to be on them. You have to be on them. You have to be involved. Now, if you think it's too much of a sacrifice to be involved in these things, God forbid. In the past, during the COVID, I know how many parents that came to me and they were asking that they wanted to pay no matter the amount for us to refer them to consultants because of what their children were going through. Some were going through depression, pornography, masturbation, so many stuffs. And these are children from Christian homes, and they've known God all their life. And then sometimes people are wondering, so if they've known God all their life, how can this be happening? We live in a real world. And I shared it once here, and I'm sharing it again because I know this is family, and it's not like, it's not joking where we, that is why it's important we meet one-on-one. God gave me a revelation once of a beautiful garden. And then the garden was well laid, well mowed. It was so beautiful. And I walked away and then I turned. The next minute, the garden was filled with thorns. And I said to God, how can this garden be filled with thorns? This is a beautiful garden that I just looked at. And he said to me, that is what happens to a child's heart. That this is the setting of children's heart. That it is not enough for you to think, I have torn it up, I have worked on it. That is a continuous thing, okay? And that is why I keep emphasizing that you don't get tired. You don't get tired of getting involved. As long as you're still involved in their secular and academic work, their spiritual life, you can't say you've been in Word Center all years. I've been teaching you God. You cannot leave it to chance. And that is why it involves a lot of sacrifice. The sacrifice of your time, the sacrifice of your commitment. And that is why I also encourage us that it's like a candle, that when you're getting overwhelmed, when you want to lay down your sword and like, I'm a bit tired, whatever you want to do, I say, don't get tired. You carry a candle. When you light up a candle, the candle gives light. And as long as the candle is giving light, it's melting. So anytime you're going the extra mile, you're doing this for your children, their spiritual life, their moral life, their academic life, and it's overburdened to you, remember you're lighting them up, but you're burning. And it's okay to burn. Because what is the essence of carrying a candle? A candle, but there's no flame. The candle is just there, but it's not burning. It's not bringing light. So when you want to be tired, when you're tired, I just came back from work, I'm not sure I can do this Bible study with this child, then you manage to struggle, so you're tired. When you're doing that, you're burning, but remember you're lighting up something. Me personally, as an individual, it has helped me a lot. Whenever I'm going out of my way to do something for my children that is costing me money or time or a burden on my body, something just tells me you're burning, you're burning, you're burning. And once you're burning, you're giving light. It's not going to be in vain. You've never seen light where light is not relevant. So remember you're burning. But what is the essence of being a candle without a flame? So don't get tired. Don't get tired. Just go ahead. This Christmas, for instance, I had worked so hard. The Christmas, I was burnt out. What if I had my way, I would have gone on vacation somewhere where I will not communicate with anybody and just rest. But I needed to be with my last daughter. I needed to be with her. I needed to be with her because COVID and everything, she's been away, they couldn't come back. I needed to be with her. And I knew that being with her was not going to rest. That all I was going to do is talk. That was the last thing I wanted to do. I had families that I could have sent her to. I had friends I would have said, okay, go to this person's house, go and stay there. She be 3 weeks. I'm seeing you guys in May during graduation. But I knew I had to. Something kept telling me it is a sacrifice. You're burning. I packed up, I stayed with her. That the first 1 week was cat and dog, and I said, I'm so tired and this is not what, but I remember I had to burn. And I want to assure you, by the time we finished the holiday, I just said, thank you for obedience. Everything changed. Now the child you see in one school's term, even if you live with them, the next school term is not the same child. They pick it a lot. The child you see in one school term, by the time you get to next school term, you don't know them. I had to discover her afresh again. There were so many things that I had to reprogram my mind, understood her again, understood where she was coming from, and then we reconnected and rebonded. And of course, family prayer, Bible study and all of that. And I understand it's now a new season for her. She's in her first year in college. There's so much that has changed. And while I was there with her, God gave me a new idea, a new creative way to minister to her. I will now say, okay, this is it, let's do Bible study. And it was phenomenal. So until you get involved and engaged, God will now start giving you ideas on how you can even reach them spiritually. And you don't have to be super spiritual. All you have to be is a child of God. And like I keep saying, if God has given you a millennial child, there is something inside of you that can tame a millennial child. There is something inside of you that can get the heart of a millennial child. But when you're not involved, come in today, come out tomorrow, you do today, don't do tomorrow. No, it's a pattern, you have to. So I want to first stir us up and charge us that do not get tired. Part of the things that are missing, family Bible study is no longer even a thing in the Word Center community. Family Bible study is a major curriculum in the Word Center community because that is the only time that you guys speak spirit to spirit. And remember again, you're building generals, you're trying to build a legacy. So it's not just teaching them, you're trying to give them a baton that they are going to take to their own homes. So that, because in the next 20, 25, 30 years, they have their own homes. So if this has been a part of them growing up, their formative years, automatically they're going to pass it to their own children. So it is not just about teaching them the word, look beyond now, okay? So those are the things we want to bring back. But before I'm just trying to bring it all together and then I will run. The message that God gave me that I want to share with us, but I said we're going to be praying with it during Jokibe. God gave me a lot of prayer prompts because when we teach, then we now use prayer to like immerse it. It's from, because of time, I'm just going to share the story. It's from the book of 2 Samuel 21. 2 Samuel 21, and it's a short story. I'm going to share it as it relates to us as a Word Center parents community. It's about David. And this was years after David was king, and David was now a bit old. And then David went to war. When King David got to that war, they said there was a new giant, and his name was Ishbi-Benob. A new giant came. The Bible recalls that the new giant came with a new sword, and that David was exhausted, like so many of us are actually exhausted right now. You've tried this with a child, you've tried this, you're exhausted. So the Bible recalls that David was exhausted, and then Ishbi, who was another giant with a new sword, came and was going to kill David. And then Abishai came. Abishai came and killed the giant. Abishai was one of David's younger men. Okay, one of his warriors and a younger man. He killed him, and then he said, and all of David's army came to him and said to him, "Never again will you go to war with us. Never again will you go to war with us, so that Israel, the light of Israel, doesn't turn off." Now, if you read on, I'm just trying to narrate the story the way it concerns us. Further down, it says 4 other giants were killed, and then the names of the young men that killed those giants were written. 4 other giants were killed, and these giants, none of them was accredited to David. But the important thing is that Israel still stood. Why am I saying this? Now, David is an old man, he's exhausted. He once killed a giant. If we think of David today, what we think of is that he's a giant slayer. Now, after some years, the thing that celebrated David was about killing David, because he was trying to use an old strategy for a new giant. Now, this is a new giant with a new sword. This is a new giant with a new sword. David did kill Goliath, but it's not the same strategy because times have changed. Thank God for Abishai, a younger man who came and gave him a new strategy. Now, when they told David to step down, David would have said, I cannot step down. How can I stop fighting? All my life, this is the method. Why do we have to change the method now? But he had enough humility and he understood times and seasons. Now, for so many of us as parents, there's a method we've been using. And then this is, whether you like it or not, we have new giants with new swords. Whether you like it or not, I have seen it. I work with children. I have my own children. I try so much to be out there because of the work I do. There are new giants with new swords. And if you're trying to use the strategy of yesterday for today, it might not work. If you're trying to use the old strategy to kill a new giant, it will not work. What is going to bring is exhaustion. It's going to bring exhaustion, and not just exhaustion, but a lot of exhaustion. So what do? We have to come in with a new approach. Give me a second. There's nobody I'm dealing with here. The video stopped recording for some reason, and because they have said we should record, I'm recording here, and then I need to sort that out. Give me a second, please. Thank you. Before I continue, you know I'm a teacher, and teachers like asking questions. Who can remind me where I stopped? So I'm sure I'm not talking to myself. Because this year we're going to work. This year we're going to work. We can't play Kalu with the children's life. We can't do that. Is there any parent, anybody that can tell me where I stopped, please?
Yeah, new sword. Good morning.
The new swords for the new giants are facing.
David did not reject Abishai's help or his advice, because he would have insisted that he continued the old way he knew of killing giants, but he accepted.
God bless
humility.
you. Thank you. I'm also seeing new giants, new strategy. I'm also seeing,
yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You said old strategies will bring exhaustion.
God bless you. So we can't use old strategies to win this battle. You're raising up millennials, whether you like it or not. You're like, all these, they're millennials, and all these, I beg. You're raising, we need a strategy for a new giant, because the old strategies can't work. It will, thank you, it will not work. When God gave me this revelation, I'm telling you, for 5 days, when he gave me this revelation, for 5 days, I could not read the Bible or do any other thing, because he kept bombarding me with it. He said, it will. Now, the problem with us as humans is that sometimes God gives us something, but we're still waiting for God to answer that question, or to answer that, to solve the problem the way we want it. It is very important. And why am I saying this? We're going to adopt new strategies. Now we've entered another age, a new world. Remote work has just started. Remote work is something that is beginning to translate into so many other things. In the next 10 years, remote work is going to turn into another thing. Remote living is now called digital nomads. There are so many things coming up. The 7-year-old you're carrying now, the 11-year-old child in your care, the 15-year-old, in the next 25 years, maybe they'll be living in the moon. Go and write it down. Because this is how I was saying some things 15 years ago. And I used to say, oh, who knows? Some of those things that we're laughing about are the things happening now. So things have changed. Remote life, digital life, online life, it is here, and it is the new thing. It is the new giant with a new sword. So what you have to do is to be humble like David. What I have to do is to be humble like David. What every parent in our generation will have to do is to be humble like David, and then step back and understand what God is doing, and see and receive help from Abishai. Because for every generation, God is not overwhelmed. God already saw this before he came. Now the hand of God to have helped David was Abishai. The hand of, so in every generation, no matter how chaotic and how strange things look, God will always bring a means of escape. It might not be that same method you're used to, but we have to be attentive, and we have to tune into the heart of God. And that is why part of what we're going to be doing this with the children this period is we're going to be doing a lot of spirit tech. A lot. Some people are like, let me read the Bible. I said, I don't want to teach what parents expect me to teach. No, because you didn't send me on an errand. God sent me. You did not send yourself on an errand to have that child. God sent you. So we have to always tune in. What is this saying? We're going to be doing a lot of spirit tech, because everything is online. So we can't shy away from it. Now, the secular world is already more advanced. It's already more advanced. Children that are 7, 8, 4, they go to coding classes. Now, what are they preparing the children for that coding classes? They're preparing them for the future. Now, what is a 7-year-old child doing with coding? But they're preparing them for the future. What is a 6-year-old child doing with coding? They're preparing them for the future. But these are secular things. But then when it comes to spiritual things, why won't you prepare them for the future using secular things? Why don't you just engage that same principle? Something happened, you know, when you're in tune with God in some things, he uses everything to talk to you. When I was in the US during my holiday, we just finished breakfast in the hotel. And then there was a man, maybe he's in his late 40s. He had his son. Probably the son is between 4 or 5. He was playing with his iPad, you know, one of those things they carry, an iPad and all of that. Then another family came in. The woman is French. And then the son, I need you to listen to this, okay? And then the son does not speak English. So, but you know how children are. The boy went to play with the American boy with his father. So while he was trying to play, the American boy kept asking him, "What's your name? How old are you?" The boy didn't respond. And then he left him. And then the French boy came and was touching him and trying to talk to him. And his father, the father of the American boy, said to him, "Why don't you talk to him? Stop being rude. Talk to him, talk to him." And you know what? And meanwhile, the boy was busy pressing something on his iPad. And he said, "Dad, stop. I'm trying to use Google Translate so that I can connect with him." And then the next minute, it was on Google Translate and they were talking. His father looked at me and I looked at him. He just said, this is a crazy generation. Because that is, the father was trying to use an old strategy. And why don't you talk to him? And because in their life, they've been wired for technology. Immediately, he knew that to connect with this other 3-year-old, he had to use Google Translate, and they started talking. And I was sitting there. I sat there, and something just kept telling me, why would the secular world prepare them for all of these things? And in the spiritual realm, we're not ready to key them in to walk online with God. And we think it's extra. It's not extra. If there is any child under your care, whether it is your biological child or any child, if there is anything you have to introduce them to, the new sword, the new strategy, you must teach them to walk with God online, because that is where they're going to live. That is where they're going to live. And that is why most of the things we're going to be doing this year is more of visual, more of this. We're trying to, and because during Zoom classes, we're not able to capture a lot during Zoom. I mean, you know how short it is and all of that. That is why we give a lot of homework and projects. So if you just bring your children to stay on Zoom to listen and just do homework and go away, and they don't do the main homework and all of those things, what they're getting is 20%. For me, the practical homework, the homework we send them to do, is actually more effective than sitting to hear me on Zoom. Because there is life change and transformation in practicals. When the child is doing, you're beginning to practice. So many of the problems we have in our country today is because nobody's policing us, because pastor doesn't follow us up and down. We go to church, we're workers, we come back, you live your life the way you want. So, but we can't do that with the children. That is why now that they're still under our tutelage, we begin to actually intentionally make sure they practice those things. So we're going to be giving out a lot. It's going to be very, videos, audios, and all. We're going to be using more of technology. We are intentional, because if the secular world is teaching them coding and all of that, we can as well begin to invite for them to know what to do. So please, we're going to, the old giant is not, it was easy for you to slay the old. Maybe Sunday school was effective back then, and going to youth camp was effective back then, but God is saying that now is a new giant. There has to be more. You have to do more from the home front. You have to be more intentional. You have to be more sacrificial. Perhaps World Center could even be the Abishai that God is giving to you and saying that you need extra help. And then you're thinking, oh, this World Center, this thing that are coming, maybe God is saying Sunday school is not enough. And part of why World Center could be the Abishai is Bible reading plan is given to you, well curated for busy parents to make it easier. Bible reading plan is already set. We know how busy you are, because I'm a busy mom. Everybody, I know how it is. So when I was doing those reading plans, I had a mindset of, I bring a topic and I bring out the bullet point. But so many people are in World Center, you don't do reading plan. You can't do that. And on Saturday, they come and sit here. We cannot do that. Part of what you're going to do, if you don't have a family Bible reading plan, we have so many. From the book of Proverbs, we have the book of John, we have the book of Acts, we have another one, and I'm working on the book of Ruth. That's for older people. So you have to pick one as a family. Pick one, or tell them we're going to do this. You can buy all of them, they are cheap. Then you look at which one do I connect with. But I always advise Proverbs. And if you've bought book of Proverbs in the past, thank God it's online. All you have to do, I'll answer that later. All you have to do is just go back to your email and bring it out again. Every year I advise the book of Proverbs because it's instructional. No matter how many times they've read it, I try to read Proverbs every year. This is very important. So for part of what we're going to be doing this year, the hope for word 3 and word 4. Okay, for word 3, teacher Nika, please take down and help with the comments, okay, so that we can handle. For word 3 and word 4. Oh my God, what I found out in the past 3 months. Oh my God. I don't know how I'm able to begin to share. So what we decided to do with them, we're going to change word 3 and word 4. So I mean like ages 13ish. We are going, it's going to be more, I want them to talk. They have so many questions, and sometimes because those questions are offensive, because those questions are not the things that, because those questions actually like, it doesn't agree with our faith or how we raise them, we don't want to hear them, but these are the challenges they have. So we've raised the curriculum for them from now till June, and it's going to be more of conversations. They're going to talk, because in answering their questions, it becomes so clear. There is so much. A child was talking to me, and I sat down and I said, I can't even believe I'm listening to this. But she was pouring out her heart and said, look, it's about time we say these things the way it is. Christian parent, well brought up from good home, but she has issues. And she says anytime she brings it up, her parents don't want, they're like, just learn and know what, you know. They live in a generation where there's so much information. So you can't shut them down and tell them this is what the Bible says, just go ahead. You have to break it down. Please do not shut them down. So for word 3 and 4, it's going to be more of conversations. And then it's going to be more of conversations, and then give me a second. Let me meet Jenny so that she can record some of the comments so she can send to them. Okay, so please, it's very important. So for word 0 to 2, the strategy we want to adopt this year is we're going to be, when we have a class with them, we send them a video. I mean, for younger children, we send them a video. Now, part of this video are videos of like Bible characters. Some of the videos could be secular videos. Now, when they watch the videos, we tell them after, like, probably I'm talking to them on Zoom, we'll tell them to write down in their journal, what is God trying to say to you? Now, what we're trying to teach, because they're going to live in a world that everything is visual or virtual, I don't know. So in view of that, now what we're trying to is, I need to understand it, okay, so that we'll use it and use it well. We're trying to like reset their mind to the point that anytime they're watching something online, let them be thinking like there's a message from this. It's something that has to be done intentionally. Whenever they're watching, like there was a time we used it for older children, Enter the Matrix. We played it, and as we're playing, I was saying, what is God saying? Or they say, I'm seeing now the way he's flying. When God sends you on an errand, he sends you with there's an angelic before you, you're carrying fire. And then if you've watched the Matrix, you know what I'm talking about. When he puts his hand in your heart, and then when the people start turning to look like them, that when the devil comes, the first thing he does is touches your heart, he enters your heart, and then from there, you know, it's intentional. We're still creating and getting the videos that we have to, because you have to know that everything they do now is what they see. So now when they watch videos, when they do things, when they do this, let them begin to think, oh, what did you just get from that video? It's not entertainment. So we're trying to use everything they're exposed to. So for word 0 to word 2, what we're going to be doing is that when we do the Zoom class, our tip for them this year is hearing God. And hearing God is, how do you hear God? We're going to be using it through the Bible characters. And hearing God is through the Bible. Then we're going to be breaking it down to different aspects and all of that. Then they watch a video. From watching the video, they now write down what they got. We're going to be changing our platform. Journaling is going to become a major thing, even weekly Bible journaling, because we see that it's being lost. And it's a major thing we have to do. We see that journaling is being lost, and it's a major thing we have to do. I did a Sunday school training for a church yesterday. And while I was talking about journaling, one girl in Sunday school came, a Sunday school teacher said that she's young, she's probably the youngest. She said one of the things that has helped her It's just to encourage others that what this woman is saying is real. That journal will change her life completely. That today she can still journal because it was what she was taught as a child. And that she said what encourages her is the kind of beautiful journals that were given to her. The kind of beautiful journals. So when I say be intentional about the journals, you can't pick a journal. You go for a wedding. You go for a wedding and they give you one boring journal, and then you come and you're using the journal. We can't do that. You are intentional. I used to tell the children then in Word Center, bring your journal, and I look at it. And if the journal is not nice, I'm like, no, we can't do this. You spend money, you invest. If you do not have journals again, we have, and again, I said for the older ones, because we're going to be doing family Bible study and taking it up seriously again, after teaching them during family Bible study, tell them to draw. These journals are open. Tell them to draw, because their mind, this is a creative world. Sometimes when they can, tell them, draw what you learned. Draw what you learned. We had a couple of some children years ago. The girl does not write. What she does is once she finished Word Center class, she draws. From her drawing, it became so vivid, you can understand what she learned. So you have to use everything at their disposal. It does not have to be write what you learned. Oh, mom, I want to draw. Draw, especially from ages 5 to like 6-ish. I teach Aneka, sometimes God gives me an inspiration and I draw it, I don't write. So you have to use everything at their disposal. Please get journals. Get journals. And then aside from getting journal, another major thing we're going to do. So 1 month, we could do paper journal. The next month, we're doing digital journaling, because we're going to be living in 2 worlds. It could be digital journaling, and that is when we say go to Superbook. I'm talking about parents from 0 to 4. So that Superbook, some parents will tell me, oh, they use it all the time. They don't. I'm not talking about using it to play games. I'm not talking about using it to watch a video. I'm talking about using it as a spiritual resource, because later in life, they're going to be using apps. I was talking about an app the other day, and one of my children said, Mom, that's an old one. Now, don't you know this app? There are so many digital, spiritual things everywhere. But we keep complaining about what the devil is bringing. What about God? The devil cannot be bigger than God. God is creative. If you go online, there's something I just discovered. It's called the iBible. The Bible comes to life. They said their plan is to develop the Bible in such a way that the Bible comes to life. It was during this holiday I took time to look at it. I think they've just done only 5 episodes. And when you actually look at it, you're actually in the Bible. I'm like, whoa, the children of God are actually amazing. But the truth is that we give out these resources, we tell you to go and look at them, and then you just think that, oh, please, no. There are so many things out there, and the sooner we start leveraging on it, the better. Now, if we don't do what we have to do now, when they go into adult church, there's always a problem. Most of the problem is because it's foundational. Just like when you don't prepare a child properly, or they grow later.
Go and get your science book. That is easy for you.
No, it's not the bucket. It's not the bucket. It's iBible. I'm going to send all of that, and we're going to send all of those later. It was also part of the links of what we're going to be doing with the children. We referred them to some of them, the videos. So you're going to it's revolution. It's iBible revolution. We're going to be using all of that this year. And why do we use all of this? To introduce you so that at home, your family Bible study sometimes can be you open the iBible, you're seeing, you talk to them about it. They live in a world where all they do is see. It doesn't have to be, okay, sit down, read Genesis chapter 7 verse 7. And the Lord said, and the child is distracted. So you have to use the new strategy to kill the new giants, anything that they can connect with. Okay, so we're going to be doing a lot of videos with them. Then there's going to be audio messages daily. It's 2 minutes messages. Is there anything wrong with our internet provider? Shanika, please note that. Note that, okay? But by the way, glory to God, Mrs. Onabanjo has helped us out with that. We're working on that. Okay, so I thought we're going to be sending audio messages daily. So when we take a topic a week, whatever we teach on Saturdays, okay, we send 2 minutes audio on it so that it's a daily dose. And I keep saying, if you think we're doing too much, it's nothing compared to what the secular world is doing. So if we're talking about Adam, for instance, throughout that week, we're bringing out 7 lessons from Adam. So we're sending audio messages. And these audio messages can be read, it can be heard in the car, it can be heard at any point. Just hear it every day. The Bible says faith comes by hearing and hearing. So as we keep hearing it every day, so from now till June or till May, If you just joined, it's a different thing. We haven't even done that. It's a new thing for this. It's a new thing for this year. That's our new curriculum, and we haven't started. It's a new curriculum. We haven't even started. So part of it, Shanika is going to be talking to us about it because we're now moving. For more effectiveness, we're moving. We've tried Edmondo. We've tried group chat. So Shanika was able to come up with Telegram and all of that, where it makes the work and everything so easy. But we didn't want to cut it off because we still wanted pair mentoring, so that sometimes when an assignment is given, you see other people's work, because Edmondo was a bit restricting. When you send your work, we're not seeing everybody's work. So when your child is not doing well, you don't understand what is expected. So she's been able to, so she's going to talk about that and how to migrate and all of that. So we're not using the group chats, the WhatsApp again. This is more effective. This is more, it's already timed. Once the daily audio comes, it comes automatically. So you have to be intentional. Sometimes that could be what you use as your on the move talk, and you do it informally. So and then this is for 0 to 2. But as I was preparing, something said to me that sometimes it was people who were 3 and 4. We lift them up because of their age and think they know much. They know nothing. Sometimes because these things were missed. So if you're a parent and you have a child who was 3 and 4, you want access to the daily audio. I mean, nobody's bigger than anything. Though I made it very elementary, but at least there's still lessons. You can also like ask for it and it will be sent to you so that they listen every day. What we want to do is bombard them every day. The Bible, there's an adage that an apple a day takes whatever away. And I don't like the fact that we teach one thing, next week we're going to one thing. So if we're on Adam, throughout that week, you're getting lessons from Adam. And at the end of the week, when they meet on Zoom and I say to one child, oh, what did you learn this week? The child can at least remember one thing that hits them from the life of Adam. So what we're doing is the Bible character. So we want you to please get involved. Take the homework a bit more seriously. And another thing we wanted to say, which is very serious, is that we want parents to sit in. If it's possible, please sit in. Good enough is now virtual, and the children stay with you at home in the morning hours. Where they sit, I mean, from the testimonies I got, parents that said, from the questionnaires and all of that, parents that said that they sit in during the class are able to do more, are able to connect more. Sometimes I see children, I see a 6-year-old on Zoom, and I say, where's your Bible? Open your Bible. The child is like, my Bible is not here. Okay, go and call somebody. There's nobody in the house. And I'm wondering, you put this child in front of a computer, and then there's nobody in the whole house, and you want that this is a spiritual thing. How do you want the child? This is not Maths and English. This is not Maths and English. So in fact, we made it mandatory. We said from this year it's going to be mandatory, but we're being a bit flexible because we know how it can be. But if you can, for me, the new parents that are joining this year, we've told them to wait. We're not even doing anything with them until after a full orientation in February. And it's going to be physical, because this online thing that you don't understand what the parents are doing, you don't understand you, it doesn't allow you actually integrate properly. So for the old parents, I want to leverage on the fact that we've been here together for a while, and then so we can, it might be easier to work with you. Please sit with them. 30 minutes will not kill you. Now, where you're not at home and you cannot sit with them, sign on. Sign on and hear what the child is hearing, okay? Sign on and hear what, then when you come back home, you leverage on it and then you're working together. Technology is beautiful, it has made things so easy. So please, it's very important. But if you're at home with a child, please sit there with a child. What 3 and 4, I mean, those ones are older, but you know, they can never outgrow you. Sometimes when they are there, sit in. I remember a few parents that I know that no matter what, they're always signed on. Because if the children don't know what you, if you don't know what they know, they can just, I don't know if you understand. And sometimes, like a parent, actually, I'm going to come to that later. A parent called to say, sent to me and said, oh, like, oh, I love what's happening here, but I need you to, something I think you should do or look at is our children. And she said she and a few other people that she know in War Center, they talked about it and they have the same opinion. She said the children feel a bit, that is a bit hostile, the way we are, I don't want to say we, because I'm the only one teaching. The way I approach them on Zoom, I always scream, I always shout, and that if I can, and I understood where she was good, where she was coming from, okay? But do you know the truth? You have 30 children and you have 30 minutes. And then you have a child that does not have a pen, or a child that is not responding. The truth is that it is not a time to start loving the child. As I say, okay, my darling, well, you bring your Bible out. Okay, open your Bible. I have 29 other children there that are going to be distracted once I leave them and I'm attending to other children. And you know the attention span is so it goes easily. So sometimes when you scream, and if anybody that knows me knows that, Janeka, I don't know why God made me like this. I'm always shouting. I scream. I don't have the patience to like, can we get this thing moving? But please, if you've had, and that, I think I sent a message from last month or 2 or 3 months ago. I said, please, our method is going to change. That when you hear us screaming on Zoom, if you're a person and you hear me screaming, that is because of what is happening. I don't know if anybody can remember, I sent that message. I said, oh, we're going to change. There's so many things are going to change and all of that. So it's a very good thing we got the feedback, but it's also important that we want to share so that parents will understand that sometimes when we're screaming, is a place of, you know, you're looking at them and you're seeing that they're all distracted. You want to get attention, okay? It's not that it cannot be easier to say, okay, I love you. We love them. We all know we love them. And that is why we do what we do. And that is why sometimes when we start in the morning, the first thing we do is to talk to them. How are you? How is it? Just to like, you know, but then we have to do what we have to do. And then you make it easier for us. When you have all the things set, is sometimes the child is sitting there, all the child is doing is playing and they're drawing, and then, and you're screaming, is there no adult here to make the child is distracting the class, you know? So it will be easier for us if also you provide them resources. Sometimes you're saying to the child, okay, lift up your journal, and the child is like this. And I'm like, where is your journal? I don't know. Okay, get your journal. I don't know where it is. And come on, it's not a time to start loving the child. Oh, my darling, go and get your journal. Go. No, you have to scream. And then sometimes you scream, but the person hearing you from the background does not understand all of that because you're still trying to keep your class together. It's not adults where when you're talking to one person, the others are calm. Once you leave the children and you're not attending to them, they can lose concentration for that minute. Okay, so please try and help us to make it easier so that we stop screaming, so that we don't scream at them. Let them get their things ready. And when we're teaching and saying, don't you understand? It is not being hostile. Okay, I took the feedback and I understood, and then I understand some of them are also young. Some of them, you know, their papa is too much. You don't shout at them, and here we're shouting. So I'm sorry, but we're going to shout. I'm going to shout. Maybe this is the only place they can hear shouting to wake them up, because what is outside is shouting, is screaming at them, you know. So we're going to try as much as possible to also, okay, is GT laughing, crying? So we're going to try as much as possible to see how we can put it together. Okay, please. And then she said something. She said she kept telling them, oh no. It's because of what is happening. She's not shouting at you. It's not like that. You have, so please try. And that's why sometimes when you're in the class as an adult, you understand what we're trying to do. Okay. So when you try to tell them, no, don't worry. No, it's not. And then sometimes they misunderstand what you say. So please, if you can sit in class, and that is part of what I'm saying is a candle you have to burn. You have to burn. Sacrifice. If I tell you the sacrifice I made in December for my 18-year-old I went to see, but you know, I came back and I said, God, you're amazing. You're amazing. The money involved, the stress involved for me and everything, but it is just phenomenal. So you have to, and then you know the funny thing, you don't have to leave them no matter how old they are. You have to. Sometimes it's not easy, you just have to. It's a sacrifice. You have to burn. If you do not burn today, later you might burn, but then the wax is burning so fast and you're wondering why. So it is easier you burn naturally, okay? So let us just try as much as possible. Tenike will tell you, so for the people in Ward 3 and 4, Spirit Tech is going to take another dimension. The youth version, please, your children, let them, when we print a reading plan, and sometimes we're going to be changing reading plans, we do youth version, we do another Bible app, Why we're doing it is to make sure that they get acquainted with so many apps online, so that the one they feel most comfortable with, so that we're also sure that they're getting, they're living online and doing spiritual things. It's a training. The way they used to train us then to sit down and do some secular things, that is how you have to train them to live online. So those are the things we're going to be doing. And now for Jochebed, when we pray every first Saturday of the month, you know we don't have classes with the children, but what we do is that we also pray with them. So what we're going to be doing is that after prayer, we're going to be sending prayers throughout the week based on the message that God gave us that month, so that they pray. They have to learn to pray for themselves. Because sometimes when we finish praying for them, they pray and we come and do the 30 minutes prayer with them. They have to learn to pray with revelation. So for starting with this month, once we finish the class for this Jokibe prayer meeting, which is next week, after praying, we're going to be sending out the prayer prompts every day. They're going to be praying based on what God, they have to learn to pray for themselves as well. So that is a combination of all of that. So please, now, if we send the prayer messages, prayer prompts to you and the prayer, because there's a recorded message I had also done on the prayer, I'll tell them just to pray along so that they can get acquainted with. After a while, I might not be doing that again, but just for them to, because you have to push them, you have to help them. If you forget for 3 days to send prayer prompts to the child, it is not the child's fault. And you know we can be overwhelmed. So part of what Tanika will be talking to you about, she's also going to be putting up the prayer prompts. Thank you. At least I'm not a witch. Thank you. I'm going to be coming down, but I'm still going to be shouting. I can't take it away from my blood. It's part of my makeup, but it's in love, complete, total love, okay? The next minute, I'm loving you, but if I have to shout, I have to shout, okay? So thank you. Thank you for encouraging me. And for those that felt they were shouted and screamed that, this woman is too hard. They say how to teach Bible. I'm not teaching Bible, I'm teaching life. My own is not Bible. I know what is happening out there. My own is not, my own is life. There are sometimes you have to shout, there's sometimes you have to scream, there are sometimes you even overdo it and you do it wrongly, but we all still come together. And that is why I wanted us to also have this talk, to know that it is who we are. I mean, back then we used to do deliverance. Some children, when their parents come to pick them, their eyes is so watery. What happened to you? They did deliverance for me. But it's all total, it's all in love and all of that. So please, let's understand them. But if for if for any reason there's some children also, they're a bit like, okay, please let us know. We love feedbacks. And because of that, we're going to be introducing to you now our parents, the gap between the parents and the Word Center. So if you have any, she represents the parents and represents the Word Center. She just joined us as a volunteer. Not so much, and that is one of the major roles she's taken, because we welcomed more volunteers. And then, so Mrs. Ojo, please, can you show your face? Let me see. So if you have any challenge or anything, please feel free. We welcome you. Tommy's mom, so she's our new parents rep. Can we please clap for her? She's our new parents rep. A bridge. You guys are not clapping. I'm not here. We can't see you.
Hello.
Thank you. So that is Mrs. Onabanjo. She's a new parent. She was with us throughout the teachers and volunteer retreat that we had. She's volunteering her time and everything. So if you have, we're going to be sending her number later. If you have anything, she represents the parent, but she's a parent. She understands. She's also in the Word Center with us. She understands her burden. So she's the bridge. God is giving her that responsibility to help us with us. Anytime you can reach her, you can tell her anything. We meet for prayer meetings twice a week, and we meet at videos, we meet at things so that she can give, because sometimes you feel, these teachers, the way they respond, I don't understand them. You can tell her everything from a parent's point of view. All we're doing is to raise priests and Levites. We're not distracted in our calling. We're not distracted. It's to raise priests and Levites. And that is why whatever it takes, we're going to go the extra mile to get it. That is important. And then I said something again. There's a difference between training for the future and training for life. The secular part of what we all do, hence we take them for coding classes, is to train them for the future. But if you're training for the future, you're not training for life. You can't train for the future without training for life. They're not the same thing. They're not the same thing, okay? So part of all of the things we're going to be doing is to train them for life. Thank you so much. Is to train them for life. Is to train them for life. And then what I don't want to miss anything. I talked about the joking, but then please, this has gone down. I, Teacher Neka, we even confess last year was horrendous for me. There was so much to do. But please, there's something my mother always says. If you live what makes you beautiful, your beauty goes. If you live that thing that makes you beautiful, that thing that you usually do that makes you beautiful, if you live it, your beauty goes. Prayer and fasting and spiritual practice is one of the things in the Word Center that makes the children beautiful. Now, please, everybody, remember Destiny Prayer Calendar. If you've lost your own, you can order for another one. It's just 500 naira. You can come for the hard copy. Thank you. God bless you. You can come for the hard copy, or you can we can send it to you online and you print it. Okay. Remember the Jokibe prayer, how to pray for your children, their Destiny Prayer Day. And we also advise that every child should have this. If you remember that every child should have this, so that they can pray. They pray on their birth dates, on their every month on their birthdays. It's a spiritual practice. So please, we're going back to all of the things. Now that we know that this thing is virtual and we probably don't know when next we're going to physical, though parents are advocating, even if it's once a month, we're still looking at how we're going to get it all together. As the Lord keeps directing us to keep going, we have to bring back all the things we do, all the things that we do. Some parents that I met like with 17 years, there's some things that they still talk about because it was strong. And we don't want to lose that. We don't want to lose that because a Word Center child, some children told me they met in camp. They were in Word Center, they met in camp. I mean, a camp abroad. And then they started saying this, oh, did you do this, do this? And it's phenomenal. So a generation cannot come and say, oh, you guys did this, I don't know what it is. Instead, we're going to have add-ons instead of removing from some of the major things. So please ensure to get the Destiny Prayer Calendar for your children and get one for yourself. Or you could use one for yourself and for your children. These are some of the major things we do so that they pray for their destinies. Remember, your training and raising priests and Levites is very important. Now, as I wrap up now, a word immersion. Please, your children should sign on early. The word immersion is a major spiritual practice. Now, what we do during the word immersion is that the children sit down. The teacher sits down and nobody talks. And they sit and they're reading the Bible on their own. It's intentional. What we're trying to do is to get them to read the Bible on their own uninterruptedly for at least 10 minutes or 7 to 10 minutes. So it's a major part of the Zoom class. For some of the children, that is the only time in the week that they sat alone to spend time with the Bible. So when you miss word immersion and they sign in late, you've lost part of the training. The Word Center is not a place where you come to teach them how to read Bible. No, or to teach them Bible. It's a spiritual training ground for spiritual practices, habits, and discipline for tomorrow. So you don't miss that part, okay? So please, word immersion is very important. Make sure they sign, and that is why we send it early. And with the new Telegram version that Anika will talk about now, we upload these things, you get it. If they have to read it a night before or in the morning, when they come in that morning, we tell everybody, sit. Sit. When you sit, please, they say, I've read it, if I say now, read it. And then what is God telling you? Remember, we always ask them, what did God say to you? What we're trying to say is for them to learn that God talked to them through the word. You have to be intentional, okay? So when they sit during word immersion, and that is why we encourage you to stay with them. Tell the child, sit there and read. If the child cannot read, sit with the child and read with the child. We do for like 7 to 10 minutes. It's a chunk of the class, but it's a major part of what we want to do, okay? We're trying to get them to get acquainted with reading the word on their own one-on-one. There are some days we probably tell the teenagers, bring your online Bible. Some of what we're doing today is how to highlight again, because the Spirit helped with them. So many of them have forgotten it. It was phenomenal. I did it with my daughter when she came during summer. This holiday, it was easier. And she said, Mom, there's this particular one about seeing the rema that other people get. I can't remember it. Because in their own time, when she lived in Nigeria, we're not being spirit tech. We have not seen this new giant, okay? But this is a new thing. It has to be introduced. So I had to tell her, okay, go. And then she called me again, when I left, I can't remember that. And I had to explain, it was easier. So sometimes when you give the foundation, when they leave home, it's easier for you to connect. A child you don't spend time doing spiritual activities with, you can't just tell them when they're in boarding house or when they've left to. So did you pray today? Have you prayed? That is just dogmatic. Do you understand? So we need to do this. It's very important. So word immersion. Then timing. I'm thinking that this is not something we're going to, I don't know if we're going to start talking about it because it's going to take too much time. You know, we start with word 0 and word 1, which is the youngest class at 8:30 to 9. And I'm thinking, is it too early? Because we don't just want to do this. If it's too early for them and they can't wake up, or maybe it's a drag for you as the parents, we understand. And some of those days they want to sleep in. And we're not thinking, because what we're trying to do, we know that the older classes, we spend more time with them because the battle in their own world is much intense. So we spend much, and that's why we do it last. because we can't say let's do this earlier. We spend more time with them, okay? So part of what we were thinking, if we're going to move the word 0 to 1, that is, it is 5 to 7. If it's going to be 9 o'clock to 9:30, so we now have word 2, 9:30 to 10. Then we now have word 3 and 4 from 10 to 11ish. But we know because we don't want to push it towards the day too much because they're all going out. So, but ideally we started at 8:30. So we're probably going to get feedback. Chanika is going to say, everybody's going to migrate to those of us, she's going to tell you about people that are ready to join us in February. Once you join in February, automatically you're entering the Telegram group. That's how we know. So she's going to send a pool for us to also see what time, what works for everybody, and then we now know what to do. Or if there's 1 or 2 comments, what we think. Sometimes the 30 minutes is not even enough because we really need to, because we want contact before content. It's not enough, and that is why we try when they're all settled and when we're doing the greeting, everybody is greeting. When we're now doing the, let's now take class seriously, we're taking class seriously. And you know you can't keep them so long on Zoom. So we try to put, because they get distracted, so we try to put everything together as much as we can. That is why coming early is not that you have a class for 8:30 and the child is signing at 8:45. You've missed word immersion, you've missed contact, you've missed everything, okay? What time is what? So we're going to, if not, it's the same timing, but we're thinking that should we change it, so it's still the same timing. So I think basically those are the things in a nutshell. Also, we're going to do a little recap to send this. We can't use an old method for a new for these new giants. We're going to be doing a lot of things online. Please be intentional about it because we're being intentional by sending it. God bless you. So Chanika, before Chanika will speak about the new things quickly, and then if there are any comments, we can take it and then we'll close. Chanika, please, where are you?
Okay, I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, thank you, Teacher Neka. Thank you, everyone that joined. God bless you in Jesus' name. We also want to thank, good morning, Dari's mom. Okay, Dari's mom, I think she's making a comment because of the British Standard Time for word 0 to 1, if it should be okay, if the timing would be too early. Maybe we will still post it to get feedback so that, because we may not be able to track the proper time we should switch to. Some people have been saying that time is okay. Some are saying it is not. But I think what we'll do is we'll try and take a poll to find out the best time that is appropriate because of the people joining from that have another time zone, which is an hour behind, because it means they will be joining at 7:30. So we look into that. Thank you. We also want to thank the parents, the families that have been supporting Word Center year in, year out for our different programs. The last major program we did was the Night in Bethlehem. We want to say thank you, and may the Lord bless you and your generations in Jesus' name. This year, Word Center will be leaving Word Center. What I mean leaving is we are actually going out, and the first major place we are going to public schools. We have not narrowed down on the particular public school we'll be going to, but we've written the Lagos State government and we are waiting for approval. What we want is that this thing we are teaching at Word Center,
Before they get down from the car, the water is already getting hot.
Sorry, please let me mute the person.
But I can't see.
Mute yourself.
I'm not going to send a 12.
Okay. Okay, good. Because what we want is all these things we are teaching at Word Center, we actually want other children to benefit as well. And we know that even though this is rich, it is still limited to the number of parents we can reach out to. So we'll be going to public school. We've written a letter to the state government. It should be part of their curriculum. We don't know the school we are starting with yet or the class, because based on the initial survey we've done, the public schools have a whole lot of people. Their class sizes are large, the number of students, the hands. So we don't even know how to start or the class will start with, but we are in the process. And we will need your support for this. because we know that ministering to them, even though it's a spiritual exercise we want to embark on, it's going to cost a lot of money as well. Apart from meeting some of their physical needs, some immediate needs, we will need to buy them Bibles. We will need to buy them these beautiful journals that Chaneka talked about, because we are meeting them directly, not their parents. Even if we meet their parents, we all know that many of them may not be able to afford this. So we'll be buying them beautiful journals. We'll be sponsoring Bibles for them. We are thinking of having a t-shirt for them. For some of those schools, because we have so many visuals, we may have to rent generator, projector, and so many other things. So we are just sharing needs with you early on so that you'll be prepared to join us in this journey. And the Lord will bless you as you do so in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Also, even though Word Center is virtual now, the Word Center building at Lekki is still there. We still do all of our admin work there. We still do some recordings and so many other things. So we still have to maintain that building. We still have staff there. We have to pay their salary. So we still need your support. And majorly, one of the things we want to do this year is actually to install solar panel, because the number of people that work in Word Center have reduced, maybe 3 or 4. So it is not efficient to run that big generator just for 3 or 4 people. So we will need to install solar panel. For this, we'll also be calling out to you once again to kindly help us to make this possible. Lastly, as Teacher Neka had mentioned, we'll be moving away from WhatsApp. And actually, we tried to move to Edmodo last year, but it was not successful. So what we are doing this year is that Word 3 will be on Edmodo, so that the Word Center faculty, the Word Center teachers will be able to use Word 3 as a pilot class to be able to know the intricacies about Edmodo and get familiar with it before we migrate all the other classes, or we would not migrate them. Because in addition to Edmodo, we also be using Telegram. We'll be using Telegram channel. Telegram is very similar to WhatsApp. So we believe it will be a soft landing for parents who are not, who are a bit wary about migrating to Edmodo as a brand new alternative. Telegram is just like WhatsApp that we have been used to. It's just that it has more features and it supports running of some bots in the background. So what will happen is that Word 0, Word 1, Word 2, and Word 5, the assignments and every other thing will be on Telegram. But for Word 3, we want to actively use Edmodo before we decide either we will migrate everybody to Edmodo or we will move Word 3 back to Telegram. So please bear with us, especially if you have children in Word 3 and other classes. It means you'll be using the 2 channels, but Edmodo is also easy. Lastly, to also make
You're muted. You're muted.
I'm trying to mute someone. Okay, sorry for that. Before now, administratively, anytime you are registering your children, it was a cumbersome process for parents. Thank you for sticking and bearing with our cake method. We are trying to move forward now. Before now, what usually happens is parents make payments, then they generate the payment advice and send it to the Word Center administrator, who will then add them manually. In the course of doing that, we always have 1 or 2 misses. So what we have done, starting from February, is that you are going to make payments online on teacherneka.org. We are going to share the site, the link now. You make payment, either you're an international family or a Nigerian-based family. The platform supports all currencies. So you'll be able to make your payment. After making your payment, you are going to receive the registration information, and all you need to do is just click on the link and join. That is all that is required. You don't need to call anybody to add you. And this is also very beneficial to parents that pay last minute, maybe because they are not able to do it during the week. We've had instances where parents will pay the morning of the first class, and then they are trying to get the admin to add them. Because of doing that, they miss part of the class. Now, anytime you make payment, either it's 3 a.m. or it's 5 a.m., you get an automated mail and you click on the link, and then you are able to join the class. Some parents have already paid for February, and they've been added to February WhatsApp group. After this meeting, we are going to reach out to you. We want you to use the platform, but you are not paying again. What will happen is we are going to reach out to you and give you a coupon code so that you can register your children, and then you will use the coupon code we are advising so that the registration will be free for you. You need to make another payment. We'll just send you the coupon code, and please, I know nobody will do it, but I just need to say coupon code with other parents. It's just for parents who have paid, for families who have paid. So please don't share it with any other parent, because once the coupon code is used, it is only valid for February, but once it is used, the person would not pay before joining the respective class channels. For sponsors who support Word Center every month, far above the 10,000 Naira monthly fee, as usual, you would not pay. We are going to advise you your sponsor's code. That does not have an expiry date. It's not for February or March. It is in perpetuity. It is forever. We'll give you your sponsor code that you can use anytime you want to register your children. Just use the sponsor's code. And of course, we know you will not share the sponsor's code as well with other families. So that is it for now. It's a little bit of change, but please bear with us. It is just to streamline things and make things better. The sponsors are those that support Word Center, they don't just pay for their children monthly subscription. They pay beyond that because their bills, like these public schools we are going to, some of them support, some of them even give a diesel, not just cash. Some give gift in kind as well. So they've been doing it for so long, even when classes are not on. So you know that they are not doing it just because of their children, because at times when Word Center is on break and there are no classes, they still support. Some of them even support by offering their technical know-how. Some of them send their staff to us to help us. So many things. If you want to know more, you can actually reach out to us. We have so many things. The Word Center rent, we have to pay it annually. So many bills. So they actually come around to help us. So we feel just allowing their children to register free is just a very minute thing to do to appreciate them for their love and for standing by us through the years. That will be all the information for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Teacher Nike. God bless you. God bless you and bless you and bless you. Okay. Okay. So how do I get back to? We're going to be closing now. It was meant to be 11:02. A few things. We've said all of that. Every other thing we just type. We'll try and send in on the chat. Even the curriculum for the year. Hold on, my God. Give me a second, okay? Even the curriculum for the year and all of that. Once you reach out to Teacher Nike, if you want to reach her privately, you know her number. She'll send the message for things you need to, on all this technical and all of that. Or every other thing, because we can go on and on about it, okay? Thank you. So what's your question, Mrs. Sukuman?
I was asking that in the event that your child adds an extra age, does it impact the class?
Usually what we do is we don't look, the age is not actually, we place them in class based on their spiritual, where we think they should be. So what happens is that if, for instance, this is a fresh year, we work with the child and we see, oh, this child is actually okay, you should move to this class, we'll move them. Do you understand? Some children stay for 2
Great,
weeks.
yeah.
Some people stay for 2 weeks and we're like, no, he should be. Some children sometimes we even want to move them lower, but the parents are like, no, I want him to be in, and we're like, this is not class. So don't worry about that. Once we see, oh, that this child is ready, and sometimes they stay in a particular class for 3 years or 4. Some people have been in Ward 2 forever and all of that. You know, it covers a range. So I think for your children, I think where they are is where they need to be fair and normal. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Perfect.
Yes. So a few things that we forgot to mention, Chanike forgot to mention. Starting now, we're having the major things we're going to do because you know, we don't do a lot of publicity like others. We our publicity is by word of mouth through our parents and parents that carry out what we do here, help us with what we do here. We have mothers. We have Mother's Day. We're having Mother's Pride. We had it a few years ago, and the testimony has not stopped coming. So we're having it again, March 27th. We're bringing 3 mothers from 3 different generations, like 70, 60 something, and if you can get an 80-year-old mother. What are the things they did wrong? And what are the things they did that is paying off? So they're going to come. So please get ready for Mothers so that when we share the flyers, you can share it. It's going to be on Zoom. Glory to God. And then as many mothers, sometimes is experience. We can teach and teach and teach these things, but people that have lived it, we already have a woman that had one. Her story is just pathetic, but she's ready to share. So please, when we send out the flyers, reach as many mothers, especially young mothers. Young mothers. The young mothers, some of them need to come and sit in War Center in Ward 1 to learn things. They are just so confused and they need mentoring and tutoring. So please invite them for Mother's Day. Something else we're doing again is Easter. You know, we use creative expressions to reach children. Glory to God for the grace He's giving us. So this Easter again, starting February 7th, we're going to be having the Easter. We didn't have it last year because we had a major event outside. So they're calling us again this year too, but we're saying before we do that, that one is more of activity. We still want that impact. So from February the 7th, this place will be open is a Lenten term. So people will come in, schools will come in, churches will come in, families will come in. When you come in, you go through the Easter narrative. After going through the Easter narrative, you go through the museum. After going through the museum, you see the tomb, and then there's a video of the fall and the reconnection. And then, like I keep saying, since we started this Easter Wonder, of the 2,000 or 3,000 children that have ever come in here, I have never seen a child that I asked that why did Jesus die on the cross? What would have happened differently if he died elsewhere? No child has been able to answer it because it has never been broken down. We just say he died on the cross to take away our sin. So that is part of what we try to do, using creative ways to express this. So part of what you can do is you can reach out to your churches, you can reach out to schools, to your children's school. If they go on excursion, sometimes they go on excursion, like my daughter when she was in primary school, they went on an excursion to Paris. And then she came back and said that was the worst thing ever, that all they ever talked about was boys at night. This was when she was in primary 6. But you know, if you tell, because we like all of these secular things, we don't place value on what is important, okay? So as school excursions, sometimes they just go out, like a parent was telling me that, oh, that thank God I told her that her child, they are going to NTA to do this. I mean, we just do all of those things. But if we don't reach out to them, they won't also know. So reach out to your school children, your church, Sunday school, and all of that families. But they have to book in early because you know it's actually a full 4. And then we've added a bit of things. We're getting characters, Bible characters. We have cast and cook coming on any day so that they can feel actually that it's really entertaining and it's spiritual. Okay, so try and talk to people, parents. And for me, why I want to encourage this is that you never know what will reach a child. Remember, it's a different world. When we had a Christmas concert last year, I was doing the narrative and I didn't even have time to watch it. It was during, to watch the video, it was during this holiday, I was watching the video and I saw where they interviewed a young boy. I think that boy is between 9 and 11 when he was going in, at the YouTube video, I was watching it and I saw where the cameraman interviewed him and he said to him, of all of what was your major takeaway? And I was amazed. That opened my eye to say, you guys just keep doing what you're doing. The boy said, I remember during my narrative, I said Christmas Day, Christmas is the day you meet Jesus one-on-one. That Christmas is the day Jesus is only born to you the day you meet him one-on-one. So that Christmas could be any day for you. And I said, so Christmas is not just something we celebrate, but until you meet him one-on-one, that becomes your Christmas day. And also many others. And the boy repeated the same thing. He said, I just understood that Christmas is the day I meet Christ one-on-one. And I'm like, this was something I just said casually. But the Spirit of God said to me that is how, when you use creative expression, you don't know the one that will catch them, you know? So we never know. And hence we have to use a new sword. We can't use the old strategy. So if God has given us creative expression, so this Easter, we're open from February the 7th up until the Easter day because different people come in. So try and put it, and one thing as I close, and I'm really closing now, you never know what you're doing. Teacher Nike shared something profound this year. If you remember Moses and Aaron, when Moses was standing during the battle, Aaron and all held his hands together. They held his hand up. If you remember that nobody talked about again, nobody talked about him, nobody mentioned him, and it's as if he was forgotten, as if what he did was forgotten. Then this happened in Exodus 17. Then in Exodus 31, when God picked up Bezalel, they said, and God brought Bezalel, and the God poured into Bezalel the spirit of wisdom, spirit of creativity, spirit of this, spirit of that. He was the one that God picked up to build the ark and the tabernacle. And they said it was the son, God picked him, Bezalel, the son of Ah. So sometimes some of the seed you are pouring in the life of other people's children, and it's as if you're not the person in the forefront. It could be 2 generations later, it could be your children. So when you never know, any opportunity you have to express, you might just be holding the hand of that person, you might just be holding the hand of that ministry, and it looks as if you're not relevant. But 2 decades later, like at the time of Paul, what happened in chapter 17, in chapter 31, it was his son that was chosen. So you never know the seed. I mean, for me, I keep saying, it's been phenomenal. There is no way I would have paid for an Ivy League education for 3 children, if not for God. It is impossible. There is no way I could have gotten 3 children into Ivy, if not for God. Not just that they're in Ivy League school, but scholarship, fully paid, ticket money. It can only be God. It's not this thing that I'm doing, if you know what I'm saying. So any opportunity you have, I keep saying that, God pays. It might not, the physical or the other little specs you want, you might not get, but he has a way of paying if you do it from your heart. So I want to encourage us. If you have the Sunday school, you can't just be pushing your own children. What about other people's children? Your children are going to get married to people's children. It's a communal work. And these are not the kind of things we share in Jokipe. Since you're in that community, try and reach out. We're having orientation for new children, new parents, 2nd Saturday in February, because we don't just want to rush them in. We've learned that so many parents come and they don't connect. So we're taking our time. So it's a good time for you to tell other parents who want their children to be a part of the Word Center community. To register, we're meeting them physically one-on-one, 2nd Saturday in February before we adopt their children, because it's something we're doing together. It's not a children thing, it's a family thing and all of that. So these are the things we wanted to, so you can help and support us in any way as much as possible. Share the vision, share the message. The Easter Wonder is a way to reach out to other children, teenagers, and all of that. Please, please, please. You are our first outlet where we share the flyer so that you can share to others. Thank you so much. So I don't know if there's any question or anything so that we can just pray and close.
Yes.
It's 11:30 on the dot.
Please, I have
Okay.
a question.
Yes, please.
Please, we noticed that my children, especially my 3-year-old son, has been very, very dependent on phones for everything. He's always crying, and then he sees any phone, give it to me, whether it's our own or not. So this year we instituted phone day. So they have only Sundays after church as phone day for 1 hour. Now that you're going tech and we're starting in February, how do we manage this? Because it's been working. So if he picks up the phone now any other day, he asks, Mommy, is today phone day? And I'll say, no, it's tomorrow, it's Sunday.
You
So
know,
how
you
manage
could do with the laptop. We have all the apps on the laptop and all of that. Okay. We have the videos we send to them are on, they're even on YouTube. They are not our own videos, they are videos on YouTube. We send you the link, you watch, and then for the phone, or for the app, for the Telegram, the everyday message, you play it on your phone, they listen to you, they don't have to be with it and all of that. So,
perfect. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Is there any other question or comment?
Yes, I just want to add that the link I dropped on Teacher Neka's website, it actually has a brief overview of our curriculum for the year, so that the parents are abreast of our plans for the year. For the preteens and teens, you will see the different topics that we'll be treating, their identity, sexuality, is God real, and so many things. And for the younger children, our theme for this year is hearing from God. Hearing from God, but we will use different Bible characters to actually teach that. So when we take a Bible story, it's not just going to be the story of Adam. We are going to look at the story and get Rema and how that particular in the character heard from God and obeyed God. So hearing from God, we run through all of our study this year, but with different Bible characters. Thank you.
God bless you. Thank you. Yes, any, I did.
Yeah, I want to talk about, those who reside abroad, because it appears that we only get mentioned like 1%, and I don't feel included, I would say. And I don't mean any disrespect to this. I appreciate all the things that you do. So like you've arranged about parents meeting in person. A lot of quite a number. I'll be quite honest, I've been a little bit reluctant in introducing this center as good as it is because of my experience, because I feel as if I have to say, hey, I'm here, and the thing is that someone's been asking me in particular, and I want to introduce the center to people here, but because I feel that I have to chase that I'm here, remember me, and we don't have the same half term or midterm as the children in Nigeria. And a few times I've come back to say, hey, what's happening? I'm interested in that camp. How can we do things creatively or in a different way to include us? You see, so in all of what's been talked about today, we've only been mentioned like 0.5% of time. So is it that it's going to be moving away from people abroad? Even though you mentioned us, but we are not really included in the planning, if we're going to be honest. So it's like sometimes, and I don't have a problem with things changing as long as we are we're informed. Like sometime last year, the time changed, for the children to come on to do the classes, but nothing was mentioned for people who live abroad, because it's meant to be a different time. Even if it's going to be the same time, that's okay. But it's just as if you want us to be part of it, but yet you're not planning with us. So there are quite a number of people who may want to be involved, but then I only have to go by my experience. And I'm going to say that I'm really loving being part of this community, but I want to be part of it. Put it this way, it's simple. I feel like a disabled child who is not included. So my child also is not even fitting in, So I would like you to consider that, please. It's like the one sheep that is lost. That's how I feel.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Teacher Nike, so you want to answer to that. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you so much for the feedback. We take full responsibility for that. But I just want to give a little background that part of the problem, since this is What Center family, will be vulnerable and just share it as it is with you. Part of the problem was because we did not have adequate record of where people are joining us from, because
her network, or are we all frozen? Are we all frozen? Oops.